Hey Leo, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your love reading for mid-October to mid-November. So we got a lot of stuff going on in this time period. We have a new moon, actually, as I'm taping this today, in Libra, which is your third house. And there seems to be a big pull on communication. There's a lot of swords in your reading, so it's really a lot about expressing yourself during this time period. We have a full moon coming up in Taurus at the end of the month, actually on Halloween. It might be a very creepy Halloween, but it's conjunct Uranus, so there's a lot of surprises that can happen, a lot of, I don't know, divine intervention kind of stuff. And I feel like we're all in this portal, you know. I feel like the collective is kind of being divided into two. There's like a group of people that have like really done the emotional processing work, and those are the people that are probably stumbling onto new endeavors, new relationships, new jobs, making somewhat of a breakthrough. It doesn't mean that life's perfect and all of a sudden everything's suddenly better. I think 2020 has taught us that things on the outside don't necessarily have to be great in order for us to be okay, right? Like, we don't really have to rely on all that external stuff anymore. I think 2020 for Leo has been a little bit like trusting yourself again. So let's take a look at these cards. Your first card out is a Five of Swords. And this is always my card of like messy things. Five of Swords, oftentimes, not necessarily, but a lot of the time is inward. It's having a lot of not trusting yourself. Now, the Five of Swords can also represent the people around you, people that are kind of somewhat provoking you in some way, or circumstances that are provoking you. And you know, it's like somebody just keeps poking at Leo and poking at Leo until you have to draw a line. And I like this card because you see all the other swords kind of laying here, meaning that you have disarmed this person. You have disarmed these thoughts in your head, and here you are kind of sitting on top of a sword, and you're looking kind of at a higher vantage point at, you know, what I always call the collateral damage here. So maybe something pushed you, Leo, to draw a line and certain situations. You know, Five of Swords are not, it's not detrimental. It's not like you're going to go through this whole emotional process. I mean, these are things that you honestly don't even have to pay attention to. Now, if you're in a relationship or you were in a relationship with somebody and it felt kind of provoking or uncomfortable in some ways, in a lot of ways, the Five of Swords will kind of push you out of a comfort zone, okay? But right before we make that leap, right before we do that thing, right before we end that thing or we have that conversation, there's always a lot of should I or shouldn't I? Am I right? Do I have a point? You know, and it's always extenuating circumstances as far as other people are always involved with the Five of Swords. Now, next to the Five of Swords is my card of Judgment. This also just came out for Scorpio, and I think it's really important. The way that I describe this card, and I'm picking up the same energy for you, is that clearly you've left something behind. Clearly you've walked away from something that caused you, you know, it's like something just wasn't aligned for you. Something just didn't work for you. And there might have been an internal struggle. Should I walk away? Should I stick around? And you seem to have overcome that, because a Judgment card in this particular deck, which is stunning, there seems to be here You are here. You are in kind of this winter. There's coldness, which means that the surroundings and the environment may not be all that pleasing. They may not be warm and happy, right? There's emotional coldness. There's a lack of depth. There's a lack of abundance. But the Judgment card is when you choose to go down this path into an easier set of circumstances, inside this doorway, this portal. And this is all very much about my Leos being at a crossroads right now. And it seems like you headed into this opening. And inside this opening, there's a lot of beautiful color. There's purple, which represents divinity. It represents being divinely guided there. There's yellow, which means there's blessings from the universe on the other side of this. There's green, so it's about opening your heart. And I think it's important to kind of focus your energy right here, because it may have been really hard to walk away from that Five of Swords. Underneath these two cards is your first oracle card, and that is honesty. I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. Maybe you were in a relationship where you knew somebody wasn't being honest with you. Now that could come out in a million different ways. It's no need to jump to conclusions that, oh, I knew that person was cheating on me, okay? It's just that you knew something wasn't right. And you probably knew for a long time. Now, Leo, because you guys operate from this heart space, and you're very expressive, and you're very, sometimes you can leave yourself a little bit vulnerable. But you could also have a need to please people, especially if you have a moon placement in Leo or a node in Leo. There might be a need to please people or not confront people. So maybe this Five of Swords really was internal. Maybe there was a lot of things that you kind of saw playing out within a relationship that you knew weren't right, and you knew it wasn't right for you, and yet you kept giving this person the benefit of the doubt. You didn't want to jump to conclusions. You know, I feel like Leo, in the Swords energy, you know, you weren't in your heart space. You were in your mind. You were worrying about what would happen if I said this. What would happen if I told this person that this isn't okay with me? Center of the reading, Seven of Wands. This is when you do realize that it's time to get honest with yourself. This is about readjusting. This is about figuring out what you really want. And this is about a positive way and a negative way to put your guard up. So the high active, the higher vibrational interpretation of this Seven of Wands card in this position would be your defense towards that person. And I think if you have your wall up to this person, I think if you've blocked communication, if you've just decided it's time to move on and I'm not looking back, then that is a very good use of this Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands. Above the Seven of Wands is a Two of Swords, and this is a crossroads. This is where you make these decisions with your intuition. Meaning you may not have facts. You may not have the truth. This person may not have confessed what the true story is. Maybe you just don't have all of the information. Yet the universe is saying, you can't sit here. You can't stay here. You have to move. So where are you going to go? Oddly enough, when I pulled this card out, another two. Look at the similarity between the two. Now, this Two of Swords is kind of forming a cross, so it's blocking. It's not allowing something to get to you, okay? And I think the transformation happens this month, right now, in this moment, because these are all your current energies. I think what happens is you start to open up. So, Leo, you keep your guard up against the people that you know, the people from your past. Look, it's retrograde Mercury. You're going to hear from the exes. You're going to hear from the friends that maybe had disappointed you, co-workers that kind of did you dirty. Like, this is a time for all of that. And even if you hear these people out, even if you give it a little bit more thought and a little bit more attention, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go back. In fact, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to forgive them. Now, it does mean you have to find a certain level of forgiveness. Because if you don't reach a level of forgiveness within these situations, you stay here, you stay blocking the things that are heading your way. You know, if you're telling the universe, I don't want any more friends, I don't want any more relationships, I'm absolutely done, I can't trust anyone, then that's exactly what the universe will give you. They will hear that you are uncomfortable and you don't want to participate in this. But this is a heart opening that happens. This is what happens when you do the forgiveness. And when you take a moment to get really honest with yourself and you realize that you would have never had to go through that much pain and disappointment had you paid attention to your intuition to begin with, because you knew. You knew something wasn't right. You knew something didn't feel right. And so this Two of Swords became an opportunity. It gets transmuted into an opportunity to tell the universe what you really do want. You shift from a Two of Swords of blocking things from you to creating. It's the same power, but all of a sudden you start creating the things that you want next. Underneath those cards are your two love oracle cards. Chemistry, there's a strong magnetic attraction here, and express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So it appears, Leo, and it doesn't surprise me, we're in some pretty intense times, and you may have recently left a relationship, and even if you weren't planning on it, someone else kind of steps in. Destiny is very much at play here. It's similar to the energy that we felt in January. The universe is kind of taken over. They're kind of putting things in place for you now. And the more work that you've done, the more you've cooperated, the more you've cut out those negative relationship experiences, and the more that you've realized you deserve better, that you've expressed yourself, you've set your boundaries. This is all about self-worth. You have Venus sitting in your second house, which is your self-esteem, your values, what you truly want. And when Venus is there, it's about what is nourishing with Virgo, what is good for you. It's discernment. It's discernment between what is useful and what is damaging. And the instant that you're willing to make those shifts, the instant that you're willing to cooperate with what the universe wants you to do next, the quicker these things are going to happen. So it appears that someone new has probably caught your eye. I do have to tell you guys, this is not about going back to that ex. That door is shut, and it's important that you realize that that door is shut. Because what happens when you start thinking about, well, yeah, but I'm kind of missing this person, or I miss the things that we used to do. When you go into that mindset, you kind of just dig up all that resentment, unbeknownst to you. And so then you have to go through that whole process of healing again. So you don't want to take steps backward at this time. If you have conversations with exes or people that you've had a falling out with, that's okay. They may be productive. But it's important not to get lost in the fantasy of giving it one more shot. Now is the time to recognize that it's okay when things don't work out. It's okay if you get rejected. It's okay if you have to walk away from someone. This is all absolutely okay because we are all finding our way to what is truly meant for us. So even though we're in a retrograde Mercury and a retrograde Mars, most likely those ghosts from the past are really not there to teach you anything more than remind you that you're on the right path forward. Those conversations might lead you to realize this person will never change. This dynamic between us will never be healed. And the universe doesn't want to stay in those situations. You don't want to stay in that climate, right? However, when something steps into your life, it's also really important that you don't meet them at the doorway with 14 Louis Vuitton bags filled with bricks. Leo, there's an opportunity for you to experience love here. And you may be on the fence about whether you want to put yourself through this again. You might be on the fence with whether you really want to make this kind of investment, that you really want to put your heart into this. You may spend a lot of time reflecting on the old things, wondering how that ended up turning out the way that it did, and maybe that's how every relationship will go. Maybe there's resentment within you that makes you assume that all of the new people you meet might have some of the same qualities as the person that hurt you. And it's up to you if you want to experience something different or if you want to experience nothing at all. I think that is truly the portal for Leo. It's not about the past. It's about here's an opportunity that maybe could heal the past, that kind of maybe can make you feel like, okay, maybe the reason that all that other stuff failed was so it could get me here. And sure, you could say, well, yeah, then why didn't I just meet this person I was meant to meet 10 years ago? Of course. But you wouldn't have been this person. And they wouldn't have been this person. Because we all grow through experiences. There's really no need for you to carry that baggage and wear those experiences on you like a badge of honor, like I have been through so much. Because that's what I feel like, Leo. I feel like you've been through so much. And you're staring at something that might really honestly be quite lovely, but is it worth the risk? Your challenge card is the wheel. This, for you, is a challenge of letting the next cycle start. Not being stuck in the past. Not holding yourself back. See, the thing about the World card in this position is that the circumstances are much different now than they were. Even if you met this person just a couple months ago and things seemed really great and then they fell apart and unraveled really quickly. Maybe this is somebody you've been with for years. It doesn't matter. Your ability to let the old stuff go, process and forgive, and have faith that the universe acts in loving and wonderful and supportive ways. Meaning not everybody that shows up is going to break your heart. Sometimes people show up to put it back together with you. Your likely outcome is the Justice card. I'm drawn to the ripple effect. And I just love the illustration here because you have a tiny little pebble and it's very black or white, right? Justice is always like that. Guilty or not guilty. There's that whole shady, reasonable doubt, and you really have to start to wonder. I've put a lot of my heart and soul into a lot of relationships and friendships in the past. Do you really want to be left alone your whole life? Do you really never want to experience that kind of love again? It's black or white. You're having a hard time with the Justice card. It will be hard for you to stay in a gray area. Again, this is all about choice. What do you want, Leo? Because now's not the time to be held back by fear. Now is the time to make things happen and to make them happen different, because you are different, because you are wiser from these experiences, because you've learned the lessons, because you're beginning to listen to your intuition, to follow, you know, more of like how your body's talking to you and the energy around you. There's wisdom with Justice. And when we have 3 major planets, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter, all now stationed direct, finally moving forward in what seems like forever. Even though Mars is retrograde and Mercury is retrograde, so we're still doing all that inward work, there are things happening in very real time. There are things culminating in your life on the physical realm. There are people that are showing up for you now. And the Justice card is a promise that it will restore balance. It is a promise that it will restore your faith. Your faith in the universe, your faith in the process, your faith in your work towards forgiveness, or your faith in love in general. Justice card means that you will get what you deserve. And if you have been loving and kind and with good intentions entering these relationships and coming out disappointed, it means that eventually, and maybe this person that you're starting to look at right now, maybe this is why all that stuff didn't work out. Maybe because those people couldn't give you what you truly deserve, and the Justice card says the universe is going to bring you someone who can. The Justice card says everything's going to work out for the greater good. It's a ripple effect. And with the ripple effect, it's important that you are willing to embrace this opportunity and not push something away. Because what you're doing now has the potential to change your life in a lot of ways. And I get the feeling that saying yes to this new thing that's in front of you is going to take you to an entirely different place altogether. Underneath the Justice card, you got the card number 1, Yang. I feel like it was Taurus that got this. This means the new things are starting. This means don't be afraid to give love another shot. Now this coming out next to the card of express your love, go ahead and make the romantic gesture. Open your heart, Leo. Do not deny a Leo real love, because that's the thing you look for your entire lifetime. And you just can't have a sad Leo who doesn't believe in it anymore. The universe will not tolerate that. I do want to read to you a little bit on this message here. And again, card number 1 indicating that it's about the new stuff now. Please, please don't get caught in the crosshairs of the ex and the new love. Please don't do that to yourself. more likely than not, no matter how much somebody could talk you into their doing better, you know, you got this honesty card, meaning that they've already proven that you can't trust them. And in that, you had to trust yourself. So that dynamic will always be at play with that ex, that by trusting them, you are not trusting yourself. That's not a healthy dynamic. It's not a healthy dynamic to dim your needs, to settle for anything less than what you truly want and deserve. Nobody is settling right now. It's just not, we just can't. 2020, I mean, we've been through so much shit. Why would you want to continue to sit in the shit when you could quite honestly just choose a new path? And the universe is handing you gifts. Justice card. They're handing you what's next on the agenda for you, what your soul is growing into. And because you've had so much growth, it will be much healthier. The masculine principle of movement and creative activity. They're up there so you guys can kind of focus on it. That always helps me. The power to make things happen and taking action. I love the way they're holding kind of that fire in the hand. Like it's so hot, and it's like the symbol of inspiration. But it's not, you can't grasp it. It's nothing that you can grasp. You can't hold on tight to this. And I think maybe that's one of the things, Leo, that you've learned, that holding on tight to things that don't belong to you will never be beneficial to you. Circumstances are supporting action on your part. It's okay to make the first move. Trust that you will quickly know where you stand. In matters of the heart, there is movement toward your highest good. So go forth with assurance. Passion is in the air, and now is the time to dance to this tune of love. Take the lead. Leo, please don't dim your light because of the past. Please allow your heart to step into this, because I have a feeling this is going to be a really beautiful experience for you. This is really wonderful, beautiful energy, and I am enjoying being in it right now. I think you will too. All right, Leo, you got a little bit of a shorter reading, and that's because I think that this is really going to be quite simple for you. When you tune into yourself and understand that this is ultimately the rest of your life, it's so important to make your needs a priority and your happiness the ultimate goal. All right, guys, don't forget to press the like button, share or subscribe. The videos always helps. We're building a great community here, and I am so grateful for this experience. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the November readings. Bye.